Well, my future stars of the sky, welcome to the most lively and honest lesson that will boost you so much that after it, Emirates recruiters simply won't be able to resist. Today we will discuss how to not just walk by, but confidently and clearly enter this office, sit down, and take my place in the Emirates team and crew. This lesson will change your perception of interviews and help you confidently pass the final interview at Emirates. We will discuss in detail how to prepare for those very questions that make even the most experienced candidates nervous. But don't worry, after this lesson you will have a clear plan on how to respond with confidence and innocent sincerity. So, how will our lesson be structured? We will analyze real questions that will definitely be asked during the interview at Emirates. I will show you how to structure your answers so that they hit the mark. And of course, we will work on examples so that it's not just, I worked here at school, but here are the facts, figures, my actions, and the lessons I've learned. That's how great I am. You know, as one of my friends says, spend 10 minutes preparing and you will be better than those who just hope for luck. Today, your 10 minutes for preparation will begin. You will also receive example answers in Russian and English that you can adapt to yourself. I will ask you questions so that you don't just listen, but think along with me. This way, you will remember the material much faster. Guys, remember, Emirates is not just beautiful words and uniforms, it's a serious game that you enter, and you need to show that you are not just going with the flow, but ready for challenges. So, let's start with typical questions. For convenience and structuring, we will divide the questions into 3 main groups. The first group is behavioral questions. How do you act in different situations? The second group is motivational questions. Why do you want to work at Emirates? And the third group is professional questions. How do you resolve conflicts, cope with difficulties, and work in a team? So, the first question is, what do you know about the company Emirates? And here, be on your guard, because if you are not ready to answer, you can immediately order a taxi for yourself. Recruiters want to see that you didn't just learn about this airline yesterday, but that you really understand who you are dealing with. And now think and answer honestly. What do you already know about Emirates? Here's the perfect example of an answer. Emirates is not just an airline. It is a brand that is associated with luxury and the highest standards of service. The company started with 2 airplanes in 1985, and now it operates one of the largest fleets in the world. I like that Emirates always puts the customer first. That's why I want to be part of the team that sets trends in aviation. You feel your task is to show that you are not just attached to the salary, but truly enjoy working in such a company. This question checks not only your awareness, but also your desire to be part of the team. Recruiters want to hear that you know the company's history, its values, its mission, and what inspires you to be part of Emirates. They expect not just facts from you, but also a personal connection. Example, answer in English. Emirates is known worldwide for its high standards of service and innovation in the aviation industry. The company started in 1985 and quickly became one of the leading airlines. What inspires me the most is the focus on customer experience and international teamwork. I admire how Emirates creates a comfortable and luxurious atmosphere for passengers, and I would love to be a part of a company that values quality service as much as I do. All reliable information can be found on the official website. On the Emirates website, for example, you can find how many planes there are, how many destinations, and what Emirates is always first in. It's important to know this, but I value your time, so I did this for you and gathered the most interesting and significant facts in one file in the attachments. You just need to open it and read it a couple of times before day X. So, what do recruiters want to hear from this question? Why Emirates? You chose Emirates not just because it's the first job that came your way. Recruiters want to see your motivation, interest in the international environment, and a desire to learn and grow within the company. Let's move on to the next questions. How do you handle negative feedback or criticism? Ah yes, criticism. This is where the most interesting part begins. How do you cope when someone tells you that you did something wrong? Are you ready to throw down the pen and slam the door, or do you hold it together and draw conclusions? Recruiters are looking for someone who can truly hear criticism, not someone who will leave in tears and start making excuses. Example of a response in Russian. There was a case when my manager said that I needed to improve my communication skills with clients. Honestly, it was hurtful, but I took it as a lesson. I started paying more attention to the details of communication, asking questions, and actively listening. After a couple of months, even my manager noticed the changes, and my relationships with clients improved. This is how it should be. Acknowledge that accepting criticism is always hard, but show that you process it like a true self-development machine. This question checks how professional you are, whether you can learn from your mistakes and remain calm. After all, in the work of a word processor, criticism can be a constant companion. I have had many bland and absurd stories with senior colleagues. I managed as best as I could thanks to a certain scheme. I will also share these tips on how to perceive criticism and complaints. So, here is the scheme for answering any behavioral question. Take a pen and write it down. We are not just listening, but also practicing this scheme in everyday life and in your current professional environment. First, situation. Describe a time when you received negative feedback. Second, your thoughts. What did you feel? What did you think? How did you perceive the criticism? Third, your actions. How did you use the criticism to improve your attitude or behavior? Fourth, the reaction of those around you. How did the situation change after that? And fifth, lesson. What did you learn from this experience? Example answer in English. War. Working in hospitality is sift feedback that in needy time prover. Mace communication skill sod gast by binor practive. At first I was disappointed, but I took the feedback seriously and started focusing on my communication skills. I made an effort to be more attentive to the guests and ask for feedback regularly. And then my manager noticed the change. The experience taught me to see feedback as an opportunity to grow. Excellent. Now let's analyze why such answers work. What exactly recruiters want to hear and how to properly structure answers. 2. Appear confident in an interview but not overly pompous. Why is it necessary to answer this way? Simplicity and specificity. Recruiters like answers that are clear, to the point, without unnecessary fluff and philosophical musings. Confidence. When you answer briefly and clearly, it demonstrates your confidence. The ability to quickly orient oneself. Recruiters want to see that you not only recognize problems or difficulties but also know how to solve them. They value your actions, conclusions, and ability to learn from your mistakes. Logic. Answers structured clearly show that you can think sequentially and have a systematic approach to problem solving. Honesty. Straightforward and honest answers without exaggeration create the impression of a reliable and open candidate. Let's analyze the third question. Describe a situation when you had to work in a team to achieve a goal. Teamwork is everything, especially in aviation, where on board you become one family for a few hours. If you can't work with others, problems will follow you closely. Example. Answer. In Russian. Once at our hotel, we had a large booking for a group of 50 people, and I had to take on the organization. We all worked as one team, distributing tasks so that the clients wouldn't feel chaos. I was responsible for coordinating meetings and timely information delivery. The result? Satisfied guests and my team that worked like clockwork. The key is that you show leadership, but do not sacrifice team spirit. This is what they want to see at Emirates. This question assesses your teamwork skills. At Emirates, as in any other airline, you always work in a team, and it is important for them to know if you can collaborate, share tasks, and achieve results together. And now let's remember who among you has faced a situation where it was necessary to achieve goals together. Write if something comes to mind immediately. The response structure is identical in this question. Describe the situation. Talk about a task or project where teamwork was needed. Second, your thoughts. What was important for achieving the goal? Third, your actions. What role did you play in the team? Fourth, the reaction of those around you. How did the team react to your actions? Fifth, the lesson. What did you learn? An example of an answer in English. At the hotel, and it was difficult to resolve all their demands. Our team had to work together all day to convince everyone that everything was going on, language, profit. And what divides Inga Kakins and collaborating with at a time Mibas toning Shile are all there in net seva mate. In that time I appreciated mergensation skills inse. Next. And receive positive feedback from the guests. This experienced meeting showed me the importance of communication and teamwork in achieving our goals. Question. What motivates you? Recruiters want to hear something more than just "I love to travel." It is important for them to understand what drives you on a deep level. Why this job? Why Emirates? Response scheme. First, your thoughts on what motivates you in general. Second, your actions, how they manifest in your work. Third, why Emirates? How do your motivations align with working at the company? Example of an answer in Russian. I am motivated by the opportunity to help people and improve their experience. I always strive to make clients feel important. At Emirates, where service standards are so high, I see how I can grow professionally and also use my skills to make passengers' journeys even better. Do you understand the essence? We are not only talking about yourself but also about how you integrate seamlessly into the company in great detail. Example answer in English. So, the next question. Where do you honestly, genuinely, and truly see yourself in 5 years? A classic question. Who has ever thought about where your career is heading? At Emirates, they don't just ask this to test you as a dreamer. They want to see how you fit into their long-term plans. Example, answer, in Russian. In 5 years, I see myself at Emirates with expanded responsibilities. I would like to first settle into the role of a flight attendant, and then develop my leadership skills and possibly become a senior crew member. My goal is not just to perform tasks, but to grow and develop alongside the company. This is how you should respond, modestly but with ambition. Show that you want to grow, but understand that it takes time. Friends, let's be honest, who has already been asked about this? Remember what you answered. It's important not just to fly and receive a salary and enjoyment. Show that you are interested in the growth and development of the company. Response outline. Again, I remind you, take a pen and write it down, then you'll thank me. The first component of the response, short-term goals. What you want to achieve in the next few years. Secondly, long-term goals. How you see yourself in the future within the company. Thirdly, what you want to develop. What skills and qualities you plan to improve. And my example response in English. In the next 5 years, I see myself in the Emirates, starting with team leadership and taking on more responsibility over time. I hope to develop my leadership skills and eventually take on a supervisory role with my team. And I would like to improve my communication skills, etc. So, in short, question 6. Describe a situation when you faced difficulties at work and how you overcame them. Recruiters want to hear about your persistence and problem-solving ability, even when the situation gets out of control. Response outline. Situation. What difficulties arose? Second, your thoughts. How you realized that action was needed. Third, your actions. What exactly did you do? Fourth, the reaction of those around you. How it affected the situation. Fifth lesson, what did it teach you? Example of a response. Once, during the peak season, we had a staff shortage and I took on additional responsibilities. I coordinated work with other departments and people to avoid delays in customer service. Thanks to this, we managed the workload and our clients didn't even notice that we were short-staffed. It taught me the importance of flexibility and quick adaptation. This, my friends, is true readiness to solve problems. And this is exactly what Emirates wants to see. Example of a response. Once we were short-staffed during the peak period at the hotel, I quickly adapted by taking on this teamwork approach, effectively assisted us in managing the workload, and our guests didn't notice any delay. There is service, and it taught me important flexibility in the fast-paced environment. There is a slightly simplified response scheme called STAR, where S is situation, T is task, A is action, R is result. Almost everyone uses it. This technique is given everywhere. It's not bad, but quite dry in my opinion. It lacks the emotional component and your rational perfect train of thought. And recruiters want to see exactly this, not just the outcome of how the situation was resolved, but your train of thought and skill of emotional self-regulation. You may sometimes feel resentment, injustice, irritation. This is normal and it will often be the case. But show that you know a lot about your psyche, about your reactions, that you can really cope with it. Therefore, I polished and expanded this technique a bit. Let me remind you again: situation, thoughts, actions, reactions of others. The lesson you learned and actions in the future. This is a question about your resilience, ability to adapt. How do you solve problems? Do you let everything take its course, or do you engage your brain and find a solution? Reaction to criticism. Questions about how you handle criticism may also come up in an interview. Here's how to respond to them. I provide a response scheme. First, accept the criticism. Show that you do not perceive it as a personal insult. Second, understand the essence. Explain how you understood the criticism and what you did with it. Third, respond calmly and professionally. Never make excuses. Do not be emotional. Fourth, draw conclusions. Show that you are ready to learn and improve. Example. At first I was a bit upset, but then I realized that this is useful feedback. I started asking more questions and providing more ideas during meetings. This improved my performance and helped me work better with my team. Conflicts are inevitable. Recruiters want to see that you do not shy away from conflicts, but can resolve them calmly and with respect for others. A situation when the client was angry. Question. Can you tell me about a time when a client was pleased and how you made them happy? Answer in a structured way. Also a situation. One time when I worked as a guest relations officer in a hotel, a customer was very upset because their room wasn't ready on time. Second, your thoughts? I understood that they were frustrated after a long trip and I needed them to calm down quickly. Third, your actions. I stayed calm, listened to their concerns, apologized, and offered them a complimentary drink while they waited. Then I checked the room's status to speed up the process. Fourth, the reaction of those around. The customer appreciated my quick reaction and started to calm down. Fifth, feedback. In the end, they were satisfied with the solution and the situation was resolved. Sixth, lesson. I learned that staying calm and offering immediate solutions can help diffuse a situation quickly. Seventh, what to do next time. Now I always stay patient and focus on finding quick, effective solutions for upset customers. Next question, when did you make a mistake? Question, tell me about a time when you made a mistake at work. Answer, according to the following scheme. Situation, once when I was working as a teacher, I mixed up the schedule and came late to class. Your thoughts. In the third step, you need to carefully consider and evaluate your actions, ensuring they align with your overall goals and objectives. Moving on to the fourth step, it's crucial to review and adjust your strategies as needed to achieve the desired outcomes. Reaction of those around. Fifth, feedback. In the end, the situation was resolved without major problems. Sixth, lesson. I learned the importance of double-checking my schedule and being more organized. Seventh, what will you do next time? Now I always make sure to check my tasks and schedules carefully to avoid such mistakes. Fourth, your strengths. Recruiters want to hear about your strengths that are directly related to the job of a flight attendant: communication, flexibility, and the ability to care for others. Why did you leave your last job? This can be a question. Sometimes they are interested in what you are looking for in the future. They want to be sure that you are not just jumping from place to place and are striving for growth and new opportunities. Again, I appreciate your time. I have prepared all the questions and answers in English for you. You will find them in the lesson materials. Download, study, or adapt them to yourself. This is better and more honest. So let's summarize. So guys, how did you find the lesson? We covered typical interview questions for Emirates. I showed you how to properly structure your answers, and now you know what to expect at the final interview. Remember, confidence is key, and you are ready for success if you show your motivation, professionalism, and problem-solving skills. So go ahead, soar high like on board the best airline in the world. You deserve it. Are you ready? Yes? Then go and show everyone who the coolest candidate on board is. Thank you for being with me, and remember, you are the solution, not the problem. Let's reinforce and go over the main part of this lesson again. The scheme, the structure of the perfect answer. When you answer questions, especially questions about stress, conflicts, or mistakes, use this simple scheme. First, situation. Briefly describe what happened. Second, your thoughts. How did you react and what did you think? Third, your actions. What exactly did you do to handle the situation? Fourth, reactions of others. How did people react to your actions? Fifth, feedback. How did this affect the situation? How did you achieve a positive result? Next, lesson. What did you learn from this situation? How did it help you become better? Seventh, what will you do next time? What conclusions did you draw? And how will you act in similar situations in the future? Remember this scheme or use a simpler one called STAR, which I provided above. But it's better to use this one because it involves a little more emotional component. This concludes today's lesson, and don't switch off.